Hey guys, welcome back to another Galaxy deck profile. In this video, I'm going to be going over a variant, which is the Mekk-Knight Galaxy variant. I've been playing this recently, and it's been having moderate success. It's not really too competitive. It's more for fun, just because you can put up really big boards and you can deal with big boards from your opponent and play through a couple of negations. But it's not really too competitive. I wouldn't take this to a tournament or anything. So with that being said, I'll just get into the depth profile. So the first card is Galaxy Soldier, which is pretty much mandatory in most Galaxy builds. So we're running that at 3. If you're familiar with my deck profiles, you'll know that I like to run just one Galaxy Knight and two Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, just for consistency. And in this build, you really don't need to play more because you're generally going to be OTKing or finishing the duel relatively early, so you typically won't see your third Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. So I'm quite comfortable with playing 2 in this version. The next card is Photon Thrasher. Photon Thrasher in this variant is probably a 1 of or possibly a 0 of because we're playing Cyframe Gamma, which I'll go into later, but basically it conflicts with a lot of other cards, especially if you're playing like Nibiru, which I was playing for a while. Thrasher just kind of doesn't really mesh well with those kind of cards. So I'm just playing the one. Triple Photon Banisher. In my opinion, Photon Banisher is one of the best cards. It makes the deck be able to extend because it's obviously a body on the board, but also adds a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your deck to your hand. So you're sort of gaining card advantage while extending your plays. So Photon Vanisher, I think, is a really good card. I'm still playing 3 because even though we're only playing 1 Thrasher, and technically it should be more dead because we're playing less Photon and Galaxy cards, we can extend into Photon and Galaxy cards quite easily using either just 2 light monsters to make a Soul Flare or an Orbital, or by going into our Photon Lord, which obviously counts as a Galaxy and a Photon card. The next card after that is Photon Orbital. I've considered cutting this down to 2, honestly, because I don't really like drawing it, but I find that 3 is probably still okay to run. I'm not sure. I could possibly cut it down to 2 in the future build. And the last Galaxy Photon card, which we're playing in the main deck, for monsters anyway, is Galaxy Brave. Galaxy Brave is still a really good card. It's both an extender and a starter. Um, so I'll just continue to play it. I'm playing 3 mostly because we're playing trading, and you can always trade in any sort of dead copies, but most of the time it is live. And I find playing 3 to be quite comfortable still. It's not really that much of a dead draw or anything like that, as long as you've got resources to summon it. Um, so next after that we have Mekk-Knight Purple Nightfall, which is obviously a level 8 and it's one of the best Mekk-Knights you can play. It's good for going for rank 8 plays. It's also good for board presence, and it's also an inherit special summon, which is good because it means it can get around monster effect negations like Appaloosa and be over it if it's at 2400. It can attack over things like Dark Claw as well, so all of that's quite relevant. Uh, After that, we have Mekk-Knight Indigo Eclipse, which I think is probably the best Mekk-Knight to play outside of purple and blue. Just because if you were to draw it by itself, it's still a relatively okay card. You would still prefer to search it out, but by itself, it's still a level 8 extender. Um, and it's 2400, which is okay as well for beating over things or crashing into problem monsters. And then the final Mekk-Knight we're playing is Mekk-Knight Blue. Just 2. I think 2 is more consistent than playing 3. For the hand traps, we're playing Cyframe Gear Gamma, which I think is probably one of the best hand traps for this format, and it definitely has a lot of synergy with this deck. Gamma, during your opponent's turn, obviously, is a great hand trap because it destroys your opponent's monster as well. Whilst during your turn, you could use Gamma and Driver to extend into, say, a Union Carrier or go for an Omega. And obviously we're playing the Cyphane Driver for the Gamma package. And the last card or last monster which we're playing in the main deck is Ghost Ogre Snow Rabbit, which is probably not that great of a hand trap this format. I find it's relatively okay, but for this deck, I think Ghost Ogre is probably one of the best hand traps. So even if it's not too relevant in the meta, I'd probably still just get away with playing 1. If it obviously becomes more relevant, then we can bump it up to 2 or 3. For spells, we're playing Photon Sanctuary, which is probably one of the best spell cards you could play for Galaxy and Photon. It's a 1 card starter or extender. It can get you into Union Carrier, into Bujinji Shima, and into Soulflare, which is really good with just 1 card. After that, we're playing Emergency Teleport, which is both a good attacking and defensive card. Attacking wise, you could extend your plays by summoning out a Gamma or a Ghost Ogre, and defensive wise, we could summon out a Ghost Ogre to protect our plays from like a Dryden or any other card which activates on the field once it's already face up. One Rotor for Thrasher and Vanisher. One Reborn because this is a very much going second deck and obviously a monster based build, so Reborn just slots in really well. Um, Double triple tactics talent. This is a good card going second because our opponent's generally going to have some kind of monster effect to activate during our turn, whether it's a hand trap or a Dryden or anything really, or maybe even a Dragoon. And actually, the second effect is quite good um, in terms of taking face up monsters your opponent controls. If our opponent's already activated the Dragoon, we can snatch it, and Dragoon will probably be at 4k attack, which means that we only need to get about 4k extra damage on board in order to OTK. So I think Triple Tactics Talent fits really well in this deck. And the final spells are two trade-ins. Trade-in just because it's a good way to sort of deal with dead copies of Purple Nightfall, Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon, which you generally want to actually discard with Soldier, so not so much that card, but also Galaxy Brave 2. I find that it's relatively consistent, and it's also a good bait for Gamma. So if you open up Trade-In and a target and a Gamma, you could just activate Trade-In to bait out your opponent's Ash Blossom, and then you can chain Gamma on your turn. And then once you do that, you're quite good to go, to be honest. And the last cards in the deck are triple Infinite Impermanence, which I think is probably one of the best hand traps, other than Gamma. Just Imperm is a good fifth card to draw and sixth card, so it's good in your opening hand, and also going second is your sixth card. That's kind of why I'm not playing Nibiru, just because Nibiru for me, I don't want to draw it going second and then look at Nibiru in my hand and then I'm pretty much down -1 and I have to sort of break a board with a dead card in my hand. I just prefer not to have to do that. For the extra deck, for running one Union Carrier, because Union Carrier can equip Photon Orbital, which obviously searches out all of our Galaxy and Photon cards. We don't even need to open up with Photons or Galaxies in order to go into Union Carrier. So it's really good that our other cards can get us into our Galaxy and Photon engine. One Ayashima because there are plenty of two-card combos which you could do with it, and it's a good extender. And also it helps play around Nibiru. One Lambda because obviously it goes with Gamma and the Cypher package just in general. And obviously it works really well with Mekk-Knights because we can banish Purple Nightfall and trigger Gamma, and then we'll get trigger Lambda, and then we'll get a Gamma during our end phase. And also if we use Emergency Teleport that turn, we can still trigger Lambda when, let's say, our Gamma or our Ghost Ogre gets banished during the end phase. So I think it's worth playing. And the final link monsters are two Galaxy Eyes Soul Flare Dragon, which I think is still necessary at 2, just for recovery plays. And if you're forced to go first, you can oftentimes make a Soul Flare, and then you'll typically want another Soul Flare for your next turn. So I really like playing 2, especially since we're playing just one Galaxy Knight. So we'll, often need Soul Flare in order to get that back. And for Exceed, we're playing Starlight Photon Blast Dragon, which is really good in this deck because it protects most of our monsters. It also allows us to extend our plays with Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. So if we have a Mekk-Knight, either purple or Indigo Eclipse already on the board, we can go into a rank 8. So I really like it in this deck. For rank 5s, we're only playing Stellar Pleiades. I'm not playing the Cyber Dragon package, which is Nova and Infinity, just because we rarely ever make it. Most of the time, if you're going for rank 5 play, you're doing so with a Blue Sky and Galaxy Soldier. So I find that I rarely ever need Nova and Infinity, and the extra deck is so packed that if I'm not going to be making a card, say, at least once every couple of games, then it's just not worth playing. For rank 8s, for one Photon Lord, you can bump this up to 2, but I find about 1 is okay for this build. One Cypher Dragon, which is a better card now that a lot of decks are using Exceeds, like Zodiac and whatnot, are quite relevant in this format. And there are some things which you can do once you take your opponent's Exceed monsters, like either go for Blade Dragon or Zeus, which I'll get to later. We also play the Titanic Galaxy, which I think is pretty much standard, and a Prime Photon Dragon for the OTKs, standard. Full Armor and Cypher Blade are pretty much standard. This is a going second deck, so we want to be able to clear our opponent's board. So those cards are mandatory. We have to play them. And the final exceed is one Sky Thunder. Sky Thunder is really powerful. If we fail to break our opponent's board, or if we go for, or rather, if we know we're not going to be able to break our opponent's board, what we can do is go for a Cypher Blade Dragon. Sorry, a Cypher Dragon, not Cypher Blade. Take one of our opponent's monsters. If it's an exceed, we could put a Zeus on top of it after we attack with it. Um, so that's powerful, and also we could go for full armor on top of our Cypher Blade, and then go for a Zeus on top of that rather than a Cypher Blade Dragon. It's just really at home in this deck. It's a light as well, so we can still use Photon Sanctuary and go for our Zeus. And a lot of decks just struggle to deal with this card. It's 3k attack. It's just really problematic, so I really like it. And the final card in our extra deck is one Cyframe Lord Omega. Just great synergy with this deck. If we use Gamma on our turn, we can summon it. If we have emergency teleport, we can summon our Ghost Ogre and use a blue sky or a soldier to go for it. It's a level 8. It deals with hand traps potentially. So if our opponent tries to Nibiru us, and obviously Nibiru is the biggest problem for this deck. So if our opponent tries to Nibiru us, we could use Omega, potentially rip the Nibiru out of their hand, and protect our plays. And obviously it's a rank 8, level 8, sorry, so we could go for our rank 8 plays. And for the side deck, we're playing 2-draw Lockbirds, which is a great hand trap for this format, against Dragon Links and other decks which search a lot. It has the potential to just end our opponent's turn, which go in second just gives us the entire board to work with in terms of OTKing and ending the duel. We're also playing 2 Artifact Lancia for similar reasons. Against decks which banish a lot, Artifact Lancia pretty much is like Draw Lockbird in terms of just ending our opponent's turn. And it's a good going first card, because oftentimes we will be forced to go first if we win game 1 and our opponent makes us go first game 2, or if we win game 2 and our opponent makes us go first game 3, and we didn't win game 1. Also Artifact Scythe for similar reasons, against the extra deck, against extra deck based decks. Artifact Scythe is just really powerful. It just completely locks them down. For spells, 2 Lightning Storm. I was testing evenly matched, but giving up the battle phase was too much, so I reverted back to just triple Lightning Storm. And 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, just for back row decks, like Altgeist or any Rogue deck, which plays a lot of back row. For traps, we've got Double Red Reboot, which is a good card against back row decks, similar to Harpy's Feather Duster. And after that, we've got triple Artifact Sanctum. Artifact Sanctum is a good card going first because it summons out all of our Lancias and our artifact cards like Scythe, to shut down our opponent so that we can go for game next turn if we've got the right type of hand or establish a board. And the final 2 traps are Goes in Match because it's instant win against a lot of different decks which play multiple different attributes, even against decks like Dragon Link, possibly Infernoble Knights. When they go for Halka 5-backs, we can flip up a Goes in Match and pretty much end their turn. And that's pretty much it. That's the deck profile. So again, it's not too competitive of a version to play, but it's quite fun going second and being able to break a lot of interesting boards. And that's pretty much the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to give the video a like and leave a comment in the comment section below, and subscribe if you haven't.